going to play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He says, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you know? It's another Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid, live with you on this Tuesday night for the next 2 hours. Shut it up and knock it down. The college basketball world giving us plenty to chew into. We've had games since 12:30 in the afternoon, noon, morning, however you want to slice it. They've been playing basketball. The Big 12 tournament got underway. And yesterday, right here on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid, again, Kevin Walsh with you, we did do our Take 5. 5 bets for the biggest 5 conference tournaments. And in the Big 12, Texas Tech at plus 425. We will certainly round again through that Take 5. You can see it there. UCLA, Tennessee, Nova, I believe in action tonight. Is that right? Is Villanova out there in the mix? No, that's tomorrow. I got excited. ACC does start today. North Carolina. I had a North Carolina diehard fan say, whoa, I see that future. Should have just sent me the money. We like that. That's good intel. If they're faithful or giving up, that's when we try and slide on in. I like the opportunity there for North Carolina. NBA slate is light as a feather. 4 games, and they're all bad outside of Pacers-Bucks. And if you're honest with yourself, and I hate to say it, you don't care about Pacers-Bucks. In your heart, you know it. You don't care. Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons laying 2 touchdowns and a hook to the Wizards. And the Cavs are laying even more than that to the Brooklyn Nets. And then you got a touchdown and a half. Clips on the road against the Pels. What is this NBA slate? Woof. Night off is what we call that. No NBA action for me yesterday, though. Tucked nice and tight under that Denver Nuggets team total blanket. What an absolute rocket ship. Not enough movement in the NBA's MVP race, I thought, though, between SGA and Jokic initially. The movement did come down. SGA entered that game around minus 650 to win league MVP, down to minus 440. The Jokic number is plus 300 as things presently stand. NHL, you could certainly get involved if you would like. National Football League news has continued to fly around. We'll talk to Mike Blewett a little bit later on and get his thoughts around what we have seen throughout the beginning of free agency. And we will also stop over in the world of golf. Some big news around Tiger Woods today. Brady Cannon will help us sift through all of that. But let's hit this college slate here because we've got some juice out there. 6 picks for me on the slate tonight. A prop, a couple of team totals, some sides, and a straight pure over, which is my favorite bet. And although it is not in chronological order, it is where we will begin because it is the biggest game on this slate. It is St. Mary's and Gonzaga. The story on the Zags is simple. If you are a good basketball team, if you are a very good basketball team, you're going to beat Gonzaga. The Zags this season, 3-6 in their quad one opportunities. Only one other team in the top 30 teams, inside that top 30, has a winning percentage against quad ones as bad as Gonzaga's, and that would be Kansas. Zags have lost both games to St. Mary's, lost to Kentucky, lost to UConn, lost to UCLA. Yet they find themselves as 3.5-point favorite. They are darlings metric-wise. And I think Gonzaga could win this game. I think St. Mary's can win this game. Side tripped me up throughout different points of the day. I like the side, but I love the total. Whoa! Buy the dip. First meeting, 146.5 under. Second meeting, 141.5 under. Meeting number 3, 138.5. Meet you at the window. We're playing this thing over. I think you are going to still see enough points here. Gonzaga being held under 70 in all 3 meetings with St. Mary's. I'm not buying it. I think the Gales offense, though, could have themselves a good enough night to get us through this number and carry the load if need be. Give me over the 138.5 between the Gonzaga Bulldogs and the St. Mary Gales. The fake Gales, shout out Iona, in the WCC final tonight. We've got now a couple of sides on this slate that I think are worth your attention, including Maine, a semifinal in the America East Conference tournament. And I like Maine tonight. Listen, Vermont is a defense that plays at a snail's, or really a team, I should say, that plays at a snail's pace. And I don't think that's a good move against the defensive caliber of Maine. Relatively speaking, within this conference, I think Maine is going to be able to give Vermont a ton of issues. You see that low total, 123.5. That has been dropping throughout the day. I like the Black Bears here to get the job done. I think 5.5 is a tick too tall. We're going to grab those points. I do believe they will win that game outright. I like Florida State in the ACC tournament, laying 3.5. Syracuse is an offense-first basketball team. We know that. They go up against the Florida State team, though, that plays much quicker than them and is significantly better defensively. So I don't think there's really any way for Cuse to get the Seminoles off balance. I think they'll be comfortable throughout the entirety of this game, and I love that they won the regular season finale against SMU. Florida State was getting beat up as they entered a very tough portion of their schedule. Louisville, UNC, Duke, and Virginia on the road. The UNC game was at home. 3 of those 4 on the road. They come back home against SMU, a solid, deep fringe bubble team in the ACC, and they beat them at home despite being booked as dogs. That shows fight. I think FSU is looking to see if they can make any type of noise within the ACC tournament. They'll need a roll up Syracuse to do just that. I think they will. For the prop players, it's David Gusan, lead man for K-State in the Arizona State game. The best player on Arizona State is freshman Jaden Quatance. Was supposed to be a Kentucky Wildcat, but when Cal went to Arkansas, he left, not with him, but left as well. The last time he's played for Arizona State was against Kansas State on the road. Played very well. They grabbed that victory. Despite being a freshman, his best ability for this team is what he brings on the defensive side of the ball. Made all Big 12 defense in his freshman season in the 4 games since he has been injured, and he will not be playing tonight. The Sun Devils have given up 91, 99, 113, and 85. The interior presence for Quintance is not there. Gusan gets the job done, the 16.5. It's not that the number is light. It's just not high enough, if that makes any sense. It's not a buy low spot. He's been playing great ball, but I think that continues here. And then 2 team totals for you. UNC Wilmington, I think they are going to absolutely rock the Cinderella Blue Hens of Delaware, who are a 9.5-point underdog in this game, specifically with their offense. They just played 10 days ago, and we saw UNC Wilmington's team total around 83.5. Delaware's defense getting too much credit for the run that they are on. Wilmington scored 88 against this team earlier on in the season in a 30-point blowout. And then give me Central Connecticut, a team total over, as that team going up against St. Francis of PA is playing one of the 4 worst defenses in the NEC. And in games against that, 9 of 10, they have scored 74 or more points in. That trend continues tonight for the Blue Devils of Central Connecticut. We'll be right back.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, great to have everybody with us here on this Tuesday night. I'll run through it quickly again for you. Tonight's college basketball card. My favorite pick is the St. Mary's Gonzaga over 138.5. 2 team totals. UNC Wilmington over the 78.5. Over for Central Connecticut. It's actually up to 73.5. I know it says 72.5 there. That's on me. Nobody else. That's on me. I bet it at 73.5. It was 72.5 earlier on in the day. Maine plus 5.5, FSU minus 3.5. And then if you are a prop player on the college side, David Gusan over 16.5 points. Shout out me for double checking how to say his last name, because the favorite would have been me coming in and saying Nguessen. You know that. And we got that right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some of the moves we saw today around the National Football League, and I think the headline news is kind of a number of moves that have now seen the Philadelphia Eagles defense, best defense in football, all-time great Super Bowl performance, lose a lot of guys. The thing is, a lot of the exits were expected. We knew Milton Williams was going to break the bank. He's going to the New England Patriots. Josh Sweat was going to get a really good payday. He's going to the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe Isaiah Rodgers, he's going to end up with the Minnesota Vikings. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, again, being moved on from, not too surprising. And then the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson deal happens, where Philadelphia trades Gardner-Johnson away to the Houston Texans and bring in a former first-round pick, offensive lineman, a guard in Kenyon Green from Houston. And all of a sudden, all of the prior exits that were expected get lumped in as what's going on in Philadelphia. And I do think that is understandable. I wonder if Gardner-Johnson's exit ties to the off-field stuff at all. Some have certainly suggested that. I, straight up as an Eagle fan, think that is the price of doing business with a guy like Gardner-Johnson, and it was obviously worth it for Philadelphia as they won a Super Bowl. So it didn't bother me any. Perhaps it bothered the front office a little bit more, right? It's tough to say. But all of it, but it was a surprising move, and it did a little bit feel as if, okay, what's going on here? Had Mekhi Becton already signed elsewhere, maybe it wouldn't have been as surprising, because you would think the Eagles are viewing Kenyon Green as another reclamation project that they can kind of get the most out of, a former first-round draft pick, and fill in for Mekhi Becton. A risky move, but the thing is that puts another loss on the plate for Philadelphia. If you look at the Eagles' offseason right now, you can't call it a good one. All they've been able to do is retain Zach Baun. Extended Saquon Barkley. But this hasn't been and Myles Garrett was a name that I thought Philadelphia would be way in on. He ultimately pulls the trade request back because he gets record-breaking money from the Cleveland Browns. And now you're hearing a little bit from kind of people around the Eagles or Howie's got something cooking. Got to be something. And I think he's earned that level of grace, but I don't know that is necessarily true. I'm not sure the Eagles are going to catch people by surprise by making some big blockbuster deal. Maybe they feel as if they're positioning themselves to do that. There's nothing directly in front of them, but when we get to the NFL draft, something could be there. But it feels like a lot, and what I think you are seeing for Philadelphia is, if anything, why it is tough to repeat in this league. And the Eagles will be up against it in that journey that they're going to be trying to take next year. And it's why it would be very surprising if the most unbiased man in the history of sports media picked the Eagles to win the Super Bowl again. Great pick, unbelievable pick, the best pick you could make last season. I'm not sure that's how it's going to line up heading into next year. I know I won't be betting the Indianapolis Colts. No, not when you're threatening me with Daniel Jones starts. This organization feels a little lost to me. You do not need to pay someone $17 million to compete with Anthony Richardson. You don't. You just pay whomever your backup is any amount of money, and they're still allowed to compete and win the job. But we want good competition. Why? If anyone beats out Richardson, it's a massive failure for everyone involved and will likely be costing them their jobs. So, if anything, you don't want really tough. Now, Daniel Jones isn't that. He's terrible. okay? But it just shows that this organization is a little bit lost at the wheel right now, scrambling. We hear from their general manager in Indianapolis, Chris Ballard, well, we knew Richardson was going to take time, didn't have a lot of starts on his arm as a college quarterback. Hold on, did you know it was going to take time, or it all has to be figured out right now? Because he didn't also get a lot of starts in his rookie season as a quarterback because he got injured right away. And then last year, you benched him for Joe Flacco. Whoops, big mistake. So you put him back out there. Now what? I don't understand. If you understood it was going to take time, then give him time. This is the year. Give him all 17 games as your starter. But we got to bring Daniel Jones in. Why? Why don't you go get some extra offensive weaponry out there for Richardson? Again, I know we blame a lot of it on AR. Do we like that receiving core? Who's wide receiver 2 on that team? Don't blink. Come on now. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Someone just said Michael Pittman in the back. I thought he was wide receiver 1. So what are we doing about? What are we talking about here? Oh, we got to go spend $17 million on a terrible quarterback. Woof! Ouch! Brutal. Every time this guy gets paid, it's a mistake. How many more teams are going to make it? Giants? Colts? Who wants to be next on the list? Yikes, man. $17 million to come in and compete for a job that if he wins, everyone's going to get fired. Bad day to be a Colt fan. Bad day to be a Colt fan. Sports Million, pick him next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, well, what sports books could go there? I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions is live on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh with you here on SportsGrid. Let's take a look at some Sports Million pick'em options on this Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's time to jump into some Sports Millions pick'ems over here on the grid now. Tom, yesterday we looked at the NBA. I went 1-1. Pascal, I was able to hit lower than his player point of 23.5, but White went nicely over it, and I had the lower on him, kicking myself for that as the Bulls just came out nice and strong in that matchup. How'd you do yesterday, and what are you looking at today on the college slate?
So yesterday was basketball between the Knicks and the Kings. We saw Josh Hart go over his mark, Keegan Murray fall under his mark, unfortunately. So 1-1 for me, Keegan Murray, 106 from downtown. Not what we wanted to see. Today, we are turning to college. Big 12 championship, first round, ASU taking on Kansas State. For ASU, let's turn to Alston Mason, higher than 14.5 points. Love the fact that he leads the team in field goal attempts. He doesn't lead them in field goal percentage, but I like the fact that he is their main guy that they are looking to. He's had at least 14 points in 6 out of his last 10 games. We look back over the stretch. He actually played Kansas State twice in this recent outing. One time he had 7 points. The other time he had 20. So hopefully we fall somewhere in the middle of this. I don't expect it to be 20 points just because it is, again, a conference tournament game, expecting a bit more defense, but I'm not expecting to be down at that 7 range. So somewhere in that 14 to 18 kind of point range will put him in a great spot. On the other side for KSU, let's turn to Max Jones, lower than 10.5 points, giving us a 3x multiplier. Overall, the shooting is inconsistent from him. Sometimes he's hitting it from deep, but most importantly, he's had at least 3 fouls in 8 straight games. His time on the court is limited, and that just doesn't put the ball in his hands, doesn't give him enough chances to put up the points. So Jones, lower than 10.5, Mason, higher than 14.5. Joe, what do you got?
Oh, I love your look there on that one. I'm going to look at some ACC tournament action today as Syracuse takes on Florida State. Now, the first time this game went down, that meeting back in January, Florida State completely dominated Syracuse, able to win that 90-74 at home. Now, in that matchup, we really did see Syracuse struggle to stop Florida State. Florida State just went up and down the court. In that game, they shot 38.9% from deep, 60.5% from the field, and they got to that free throw line, and they were hitting those free throws, hitting 31 points from the free throw line. I'm expecting in this one Syracuse to stay a little bit more competitive. We got a player here at Lampkin coming out that the big man, he's going to be unstoppable in my opinion. The last time versus Florida State, though, he was only able to put up 4 points. So why am I taking him higher than 14.5 points in the matchup versus a team that limited him to 4? He's just playing so much more aggressive out there on the court. I love what we've seen out of him, and I do think Florida State's going to have a really hard time controlling him today. I think he's going to dominate against the class and be pivotal in this matchup. Now, he's posted a double-double in 3 of his last 4. He is 6'11" out there, 265 pounds. Look for him to really feast on the glass tonight versus Florida State. Now, looking at Florida State's, Ewan is so strong out there. I'll take him higher than his 17.5 points. He has been strong for this team. He's been able to get those points on the board. When we looked at him in that first matchup versus Syracuse, 14 points in 28 minutes. But looking at him as of late, he's been stepping it up. He's coming off 26 points versus SMU in 35 minutes on the court. Both of these players are looking to make a run, and I do think it starts tonight with both of them going higher than their points. So Lampkin, higher than 14.5 points for Syracuse, and Ewan, higher than 17.5 points for Florida State. That's going to give you a 3-time multiplier over on Sports Millions.
An absolutely pivotal time as championship week starts. We'll be rolling into March Madness as the weeks go on.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time, you guys. So stick around here, always on the grid for your Sports Million pickup. Enjoy Sport Millions pick'ems, but hey, making picks yourself? Well, Sports Millions has you covered. Head on over to Sports Millions Blitz'em right now and let the computer do the work. Go to sportsmillions.com/Blitz'em to be able to win big prizes without having to make a single pick yourself. That's sportsmillions.com/Blitz'em.
All right, let's make sure that we continue to keep this train rolling. We're going to bring Joe Madden right here to go through the entire NHL slate on this Tuesday night after this quick commercial break.
play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. He's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Back at the right here on Sports Grid. Let's get right into it because the NHL slate tonight needs to be acknowledged, and to help us do that is Joe Madden. But, Joe, before we get to tonight's games, Connor Bedard, he's alive. I mean, I know he didn't do anything yesterday, but I just thought it would be noteworthy to check in that he did have a multi-point game finally, had a point in the next game. Nice to see the kid rolling a little.
Yeah, it's good to see Connor Bedard finally getting on that scoreboard. That's going to bring him a lot of confidence. And you look at Chicago with Spencer Knight in net. This is a team that, even though they're not going to make the playoffs this year, they have hopes for the future, Kevin.
Yeah, certainly so. Let's get into tonight's games, and we'll start it off with a really important one potentially between Boston and Florida. I know the Bruins had a pretty defeating deadline here, perhaps a part of the reason why the Panthers on the road are minus 210.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers definitely are the better team here. But you look at Boston, and with all of their trades at the deadline, Brad Marchand going over to the Florida Panthers, we won't see him hitting the ice tonight as he's still injured. But this team kind of rallied in that last game. We saw a lot of new faces out there on the ice, and they were able to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-0, which I did not expect at all. Look for Boston to really push in this game, and Florida to play a strong one. Now, I do think Florida ends up winning this, but only by a goal. So I can't look at the money line and I can't look at the puck line. I want to live bet Boston if Florida does go up first, because you're just not getting the value right now, grabbing them plus the 1.5. You're going to have to lay too much juice for my liking, especially when we could have that empty netter. So if Florida goes up, come back in on Boston plus 1.5 on the puck line when you're getting plus money. That's the only thing I really want to do with this game, Kevin.
And if I'm not mistaken, Joe, tonight on In-Game Live, so any action that we see in those games, Joe will be able to help you out. Let's do some Devils Blue Jackets here. 5.5 total in this one. New Jersey on their home ice, around a minus 155 favorite.
Yeah, the New Jersey Devils coming in off that win versus the Flyers in their last game out. They were able to get that 3-1 win. And then when we look here at the Columbus Blue Jackets, off a great game versus the New York Rangers, winning that one 7-3 on Sunday. The Columbus Blue Jackets have been stronger offensively on their home ice, but they got that last win on the road versus the Rangers, and I'm looking for both of these teams to really start off hot. We've got Elvis versus Jacob Markstrom in net, and I do think both of these teams will get on the scoreboard right away. We do have issues with injuries here for the for the New Jersey Devils, with Jack Hughes out of the lineup and Dougie Hamilton, which makes it weaker defensively without Hamilton in the lineup. So look for Columbus to be able to score, but look for the Devils to answer in the first period as well. I'll take the first period, both teams to score at plus 160, and I do think it's worth a look at Columbus's team total over 2.5 goals. I expect at least 3 out of them. They could be barking in this one as well, Kevin. I'd take a chance on them straight up on that money line.
All right, I will say the Jack Hughes news obviously very deflating to New Jersey, but if I'm not mistaken, still kind of in that postseason mix. So they're going to have to stack games where they can. Booked as a home favorite tonight. Early scoring potentially, Joe, in that game. Maybe just a full game of goals. When we look at Pittsburgh and Vegas, big time 6.5 total, but you like it to the over.
Yeah, I do like it to the over here. You can count on Vegas to be able to get those goals. We know the Pittsburgh Penguins' biggest weakness this season has been in net and has been their defense. They just haven't been able to get things down. Now, offensively, we're still seeing that top line scoring, and I do think you can count on Sidney Crosby to come out and get a couple of points on the board. Sidney Crosby for the 2+ points coming in at great plus money tonight. I'll be hitting on that. And then I'm just going to look at this game to go over that total of 6.5. We're getting slight plus money to the over. We know all the playmakers here for Vegas: Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Thomas Hertl. All of these players should be able to get on the board tonight. Raquel is looking for his 55th point, 30th goal tonight. So I think Raquel can get on the board for the Penguins, but it's Sid who I'm really circling. He has 68 points on the season. If he gets a point tonight, that's 69. If he gets 2, that's 70. And I do think he hits 70 points tonight. So give me a big night for Sid and give me a big night for these goals rolling in.
All right, some love there for Sid the Kid. Joe, how about a really exciting game between Carolina and Tampa Bay? Canes enter this one winners of 4 in a row. Do we think tonight makes it 5?
I'm uneasy on taking the Carolina Hurricanes to get the win. This team has been solid, and they've been solid at home, but you're looking at a Tampa Bay Lightning team that is rolling in here off of that heartbreaking loss to the Boston Bruins. This team was rolling as one of the hottest teams in the whole league. Vasilevsky just standing on his head game in and game out, but over the last 2, this team has crumbled defensively and in goal, allowing 4.5 goals over in each of the last 2 games. So on average, I'm looking for them to step it up defensively and for the Carolina Hurricanes to struggle to be able to find the back of the net tonight. I would take the Tampa Bay Lightning off of that shutout loss to the Boston Bruins in the first period. On the puck line, they're going to be so hungry to score that goal straight out of the gate, and I think they limit Carolina in this one. So give me Tampa first period money line. Coming in at plus 106. You can also looking at do the alt puck line because they are the underdog, laying the half a goal, and you're going to get great plus money on that.
Some early action for you, Joe, as well in the Colorado game. This is a team who had lost 2 straight to close out a road trip, got back home for, I believe it was 6 in a row, and they won each and every one of those games on the home stand. They head back out on the road against Minnesota now.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough matchup for the Minnesota Wild. We look at the Wild, and they're still dealing with injuries. Gustafsson has been pretty solid between the pipes, but he's had some really off games, and now they have to face a Colorado Avalanche team that's on the second night of a back-to-back. So Colorado rolling in here. Nathan McKinnon able to get his 1,000th point last night because he did get 2 of those out there on the ice. You're looking for Colorado to come out strong to start in this one again, Kevin, because I worry about the tired legs when we get it late into these games. So give me the Colorado Avalanche first period puck line laying a half a goal. That's coming in at plus 144. Now they have won the last 5 first periods in Minnesota as well, and they've actually dominated here. So if you want to take them full game, I don't blame you, but I love looking at that first period when teams are on the second night of a back-to-back. I think the Wild struggle to score on Mackenzie Blackwood in net tonight. I would take the Wild's team total as well, under 2.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 118. They've struggled to put these goals up versus Colorado in all of their meetings.
Joe, you're mentioning some benchmarks, right? McKinnon, Crosby. The benchmark right now is what will Ovechkin do on a nightly basis, and how close will he get to passing Wayne Gretzky? And I see for you, it is a full caps card loaded with props on Ovi.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to look at Ovi tonight. So looking at Ovi here, I'm going to take the Capitals firstly. I'm going to lay the 1.5 on the puck line. I'm not going to overthink this. They should be able to come out nice and strong and rack up the goals on the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Joff's still in net tonight, and he has been strong, but I do think with how strong the power play is here for the Capitals, they're going to be able to get the win. So this team is scoring. Ovi is getting on the board. We know that. Ovi has 12 goals and 18 assists in his career versus the Ducks. So let's take Ovi for the goal at plus 110, 2+ goals at plus 700, and the hat trick at plus 3,300. I'm going to put a third of a unit on each of those. Now, if you do want to look at him for the points rather than the goals, because you think a goal and an assist is coming, you can look at him for 2+ points. You're still getting plus 230, and I would expect a conversion on the power play. So power play point for him tonight at plus 175. This is all about Ovi, but I tell you, Kevin, when Ovi's going up in these games, Sid's going up in his games too. So that's why I'm high on Sid and I'm high on Ovi tonight. That competitiveness, even though they're not on the same teams or against each other, it's still out there.
And then quickly, Joe, before we let you get out of here, but I know there's some interest for you in the game between the Preds and the Sharks. How are you playing that one? And again, remember, everybody, in-game live tonight with Joe Madden.
Yeah, so this is going to be a great one. The Nashville Predators, San Jose Sharks. We got two teams that can't keep the puck out of the back of the net. And while their offenses haven't been strong, the Nashville Predators, as of late, have been scoring. But this Sharks team can be sneaky good as well. Give me Celebrini here for 2+ points. That's coming in at plus 255. That will get him to 50 points tonight on the season. Give me Tyler Toffoli for goal number 25 at plus 175. And then Forsberg for the Predators for goal number 25 at plus 125, Kevin.
All right, fantastic, Joe. Thank you. As always, again, everybody, make sure you are with Joe Madden tonight on In-Game Live right after we finish up here on Game Time Decisions. We've got Brady Cannon joining us next. Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
Question is, of course, well, what sports books could go there? I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back to the right here on SportsGrid. Quick little ACC update. We are in overtime right now between Vatech and Cal. 60 apiece is what they entered heading into another 5 minutes there. I will admittedly not be able to tell you what the total was pregame, But if you had it over, you definitely needed overtime. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to get you there. We'll get back to the college basketball in just a little bit, but we want to get over to the world of golf. And to help us do that, of course, it is Brady Cannon. Brady, great to always have you with us here on Game Time Decisions. I want to just go to the big news around the golf world today, which is Tiger Woods, the announcement that he did have surgery on a ruptured Achilles, saying he is going to make a full recovery. The thing is, Tiger's very selective when he plays, so it's hard to know when the next time we'll actually see Tiger back out there, but it does seem as if that is his hope and his desire, is that this is not the end for him.
Well, unfortunately for golf fans, it's not going to happen in a month from now at Augusta National. It's really hard to say, Kevin, and if he's ever going to win again, Augusta is probably one of the places, if not the very most singular place that gives him the best chance to do so. He knows the course so well. It was not that long ago that we saw him win there when he was healthy. We really haven't seen him healthy since then. It seems like we go through this every couple of years or so with Tiger.
Yep.
Will he win again? Will we see him play again? Will he win a major again? All of those questions are all starting to become no's.
It's tough. It is. It's so incredible to me that there is still this mystique around this guy that even someone like yourself would say, if it's going to happen, it's probably at Augusta, which is supposed to be kind of the toughest challenge, arguably, right, in the sport. I know there's some crazy courses out there, U.S. Opens and things like that, but that's the elite of the elite. I don't know, but we get to these events, and it's like it's tough for him to walk. It's tough for him to finish, right, the round. I feel as if he goes out there and he's just like, I'm just trying to make a cut, and then it kind of, it is what it is. And now that's where it's so unique, right, as I become more and more and more familiar with the game. When you think about the struggles that Tiger has, a ruptured Achilles is very damaging, right? Again, for your guy who just goes out there, plays around 18, I can get back out on the course, right? But Tiger's trying to be competitive. You can tell that he wants one more, two more. I mean, honestly, he probably wants 10 more magic runs in him. And I think that's what's going to keep him coming back. But it doesn't feel realistic, Brady, that you and I, at the end of a major, are talking about how Tiger did it again. It just doesn't.
No, I totally agree with you. And I think this is maybe the final straw, Kevin. We saw him in the TGL, and he's been okay at times, and he still hits the ball out there a long way. And, that's kind of been the narrative, for the last couple of years, is the guy still has the game like a lot of these guys have. He just has a hard time getting around the course. He can't walk 72 holes. And obviously that's a major problem. Even though if the game is okay, that's kind of half the equation is the stamina. And we know he has the mental toughness, but he doesn't have the experience in that arena either. So I would say at this point, he is going to be stuck on 82 PGA Tour victories, which will tie him all time for the most with Sam Snead. I don't think he's going to eclipse that.
Yeah, I think that is kind of, again, maybe that's the target for him. But listen, Tiger has nothing left to prove.
No.
But I know it's tough for those greats. It is.
I hope we get to see him, Kevin, in a couple of years on the Champions Tour, and maybe he can win a major or two there. I think he will compete on the senior circuit, if you will, probably on a limited basis, but I hope we get to see that.
I wonder, as we get into I wonder if when his son is ready, assuming that he stays on the trajectory everybody assumes he is on, I wonder if when he is ready to compete on the PGA Tour, that will allow Tiger to release the competitiveness a little bit and transfer that into watching and rooting in his son. I wonder if that is...
Yeah. I think it's a great angle. I think that would kind of be a natural human reaction, right? Okay, the passing of the torch. Now my son is here. I can kind of back off a little bit, relax, and I don't have to press and try and get to the next major and win the next tournament. No, I think it makes a ton of sense, and I hope that comes to fruition as well. I think that would be good for Tiger, and it would also be a little bit of a transition for all of us Tiger fans.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. we have Brady with us. We're going to get, of course, into the players. We have Brady here up until the top of the hour. So then let me ask you about the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Russell Henley with the win. Beats Morikawa out by just a stroke. Corey Connors, Michael Kim, Keegan Bradley, and Sepp Straka rounding out a top five. Of course, some ties in there. That's 6 guys. What was your biggest takeaway from last weekend's event?
Well, gosh, good question. I think my biggest takeaway was I was surprised that Colin Morikawa let it slip away. I don't think he really blew it. Russell Henley kind of made a very lucky chip shot to win the golf tournament on the 16th hole. Mind you, if that chip shot would have missed, it would have rolled off the green, and Colin Morikawa would have won the golf tournament. So he's pretty lucky that it hit the flagstick and went in, but let's not chalk it all up to luck. The guy made a very good golf shot and won the tournament, and he was not a surprise winner. He was a guy that almost made my card. I mean, he is becoming a regular name on these leaderboards at big-time golf tournaments, on a regular basis. So he wasn't a surprise, but the way it unfolded was surprising to me because I think you could argue right now that Colin Morikawa is possibly the second best player in the world next to Scottie Scheffler. I know Rory has been in good form, but Morikawa, that's his second runner-up this season, another runner-up at the Tour Championship last season at Eastlake. This guy, gosh, he is so close, and I know we'll get to it in the next segment, but I'm going to go back to Morikawa this week at TPC Sawgrass as well.
I'm really excited to get your card for the players. My takeaway on that event, listen, I can't help myself, but it's on Scotty. A T11, relatively speaking, that's a bad showing for Scottie Scheffler. What does that mean heading into this tournament? We'll ask Brady about that, get his outright winners after this quick break on Game Time Decisions.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, what sports books could go there. I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here. We are on Game Time Decisions. We are with Brady Cannon, and let's talk about the Players' Championship. Brady, we'll go through the full, but you mentioned Morikawa. We were talking a little bit about Scotty. How you assess the top 4, 5, 6 guys that the outright board is offering?
Well, I didn't want to go with Scotty because you're basically asking him to win this 3 times in a row, and I don't think that's going to happen. It never has. He was the first guy ever to go back-to-back. Only a handful of guys have ever won this twice in their career, let alone back-to-back. In fact, the average finishing position of the defending champion has been outside of the top 15. Last year, Scotty Scheffler finishing inside of that and winning was the first time anybody had done that since Adam Scott won here back, 20-some years ago. So that is not likely to happen. And it just speaks to the volatility of this golf course. There's no real consistency. You look at all these top players. They've won, they've finished top 10, they've missed multiple cuts. It's really hard to pin down any sort of consistency. And I think that speaks to the Pete Dye design, how good it is. There's no 2 holes that run in the same direction. Half of them ask you to hit a draw, half of them ask you to hit a fade. It requires every bit of skill set, you can come up with. There's not necessarily a formula to doing well here. And that's kind of the beauty of it. It's a tremendous test of golf. I didn't really want Rory. He doesn't feel right to me. Ever since he won it in 2019, he has not fared well here, including missing a couple of cuts. I almost went with Justin Thomas, a former winner. He was absolutely nails for the first 2 days last week at Bay Hill, and then he fell off a cliff, and it got ugly over the weekend. Ludwig Oberg, I love him at big golf tournaments like Torrey, or big golf courses, I should say, like Torrey Pines and maybe a Bethpage and stuff like that. But a little shorter, more congested, compact golf course like we have here, it's not my favorite fit for him. But I did go with Morikawa, who is that accuracy-based ball striker who hits every fairway and can knock a few putts down and scramble. And obviously the form is tremendous with a couple of runner-up finishes already. He was the shortest shot I took. And then I went to Sepp Straka, who you mentioned there in the Open. Another good finish last week, has already won this year on a Pete Dye golf course at the American Express. I went with Daniel Berger, a Florida swing savant, and we've kind of forgotten about this guy because he's been injured the past couple of seasons, but he was a top 15 player in the world, has a couple of top 10 finishes here at the Players in the past. Went with Aaron Rai, again, another ball striker who hits it right down the middle. Because I said this tournament is so random, for every Tiger Woods and Sergio Garcia and Phil Mickelson and Rory McIlroy that wins this thing, there's also Tim Clark and Fred Funk and all these, Stephen Ames of the world. So I went with JT Poston, JJ Spawn, and Joel Damon as 3, triple-digit long bombs to get themselves in the mix as well.
I think that's a very interesting list of guys. What is fascinating to me, you talk about how rare it is to have, to win it, come back and be great. You put into perspective Scotty last year. He won the Arnold Palmer. I think the 5 tournament run went win, T2, win, right? And it's a very tough thing to replicate. And I wonder if it's still so much baked into these numbers. There's great value, but what I found interesting is 2 wins ago for Scotty, he won by 5 strokes. 4 of the last 5 have been decided by 1. So, Brady, this feels like a great tournament for live betting opportunities throughout the weekend.
Well, what's interesting is this is not necessarily a catch-up golf course. It hasn't been since Ricky Fowler that anybody came back that was further out of 7th place going into the final day, except for last year, Scotty Scheffler. It's kind of like what he did at the Olympics, where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the guy's 6 shots off the pace and he comes back and wins the gold medal. It was very similar to what he did on Sunday here at TPC Sawgrass last year, where he was, I want to say, 5 or 6 shots off the pace and did what Scotty does and came back and, pretty soon he's staring down, Xander Schauffele and Wyndham Clark, and he got it done. The guy's not off his game by much. I mean, he had the injured hand. What did he finish? Just outside the top 10 last week. So there's certainly no reason to be worried about Scotty Scheffler. And hey, maybe he'll make it 3 in a row. I doubt it, but he's going to be just fine. He's still the best player in the world.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun tournament to watch, and that's why we brought Brady in to help us break this down. I appreciate it as always, Brady. We will reset the college card at the top of the hour next right here. It's Game Time Decisions.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, well, what sports books could go there? I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live on this Tuesday night. I want to get right to it in case you're just tuning in, looking for some action. UNC Wilmington, team total over 78.5. Maine, plus 5.5. Central Connecticut, team total over 72.5, 73.5. David Gusan, over 16.5 points for Kansas State. Florida State, we are laying 3.5. I think all of those games actually may be at 7 o'clock. Late night best bet, St. Mary's Gonzaga over the 138.5 in the WCC final. But again, that is how the card looks for those looking to get involved in this 7 o'clock window here on the college basketball board. Having a lot of fun with these tournaments, and it's only getting us ready for what should be an excellent, excellent March Madness. And someone who will be, I'm sure no surprise to any of you, a part of our coverage, of course, that is Mike Blewett, who joins us now. Mike, great to have you here on a Tuesday night.
Excited, obviously, this time of year is a lot of fun, not just for March Madness. And as I said earlier today on this network, tournament week, still underrated after all of these years. The big tournament is fantastic, especially Thursday and Friday. But tournament week, with the amount of games that started, there were women's games on at noon today. You can get a lot of fun angles and clearly a lot of fun basketball. We got some ACC overtime action, I believe, happening right now. So beyond that, we're here to talk NFL free agency. Exciting time of year.
Yes, we certainly are, and I'm excited to get into all of it with Mike. I want to start with some of today's big news items, and then we'll kind of work backwards. And Mike, the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, knew some guys would be leaving. But it feels like it started to pile up a little bit, I think, when you take the kind of temperature of the fan base, even people outside, right? You know, people trying to, assess off seasons, who's winning, who's losing. It's hard to put the Eagles in a winner's bucket, right? They kept Zach Bond. They extended Saquon. People are like, they could be a Myles Garrett threat. He's back. Milton Williams, Josh Sweat. Okay, you knew those guys were going to be gone. Cutting some vets. Okay, that was on the board. But then that Gardner Johnson trade today, it felt like all of a sudden it became a lot. They are still the Super Bowl favorites because it's still just March 11th. But what do you make of what's going on in Philadelphia right now?
I think to your point, there's some of this is to be expected. I'll never forget a story that John Lynch, who's now the GM of the 49ers, has relayed many times, that when they came back from their 2002 Super Bowl win, and he walked into the parking lot getting ready for the 2003 season. This is sort of spring going into summer. He knew that things had changed. A lot of new cars out there. People were getting paid. There was a lot more discussion of where guys needed to go in order to take care of themselves and their family for the rest of their lives. So that's not begrudging anybody. They have to go out and get paid and certainly strike while the iron's hot. Milton Williams and Josh Sweat are perfect examples of guys that maybe were flying a little bit under the radar, made big plays late in the season, and parlayed that into massive contracts. But it's very difficult to repeat. It's why what the Chiefs and the Patriots have done over the last 20 years is so impressive. The Eagles have been able to rebuild on the fly very uniquely in the last 8 seasons, right? They win the Super Bowl in 2017. That whole group really gets blown up to get back to the Super Bowl in 2022 and then remake themselves into the 2024 champs. So you can trust in Howie Roseman that he knows how to rebuild it. It's just not an automatic that this group can stay together and get back to where they want to be, which is back in the Super Bowl. They're going to have real challengers, still an excellent team. But to your point, they're losing some of the heartbeat of the team, too. Those are good players in Sweat and Williams and Gardner-Johnson, who made a lot of big plays for them. But they will now rely even more heavily. It's hard to say that when Cooper DeJean returns a pick for a Super Bowl in the returns a pick for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. But guys like him and Quinyon Mitchell are now really going to be counted on week in, week out.
I also think, and you know, Mike's always a big part of our NFL draft coverage, if you kind of take the temperature of those prospects, strong on the defensive line, interior and edge rushers.
Absolutely.
Philly could be banking on that as well. Howie also has this reputation. He's earned it, where people are like, ooh, they're doing something. Like, there are some people who are annoyed, and then there's another portion of people who are just poking around other team superstars, like, you're gonna be on my roster soon. That's kind of how people feel about Howie Roseman. The thing that we know, Mike, is this can be a copycat league. I think it's all sports, though, truly, where, ooh, this worked for them, this is going to work for us. And the strength of the Philadelphia Eagles for years now, both Super Bowl runs, the trenches. The offensive line is always fantastic. The defensive line has, for a few seasons now, been fantastic. And the Minnesota Vikings, and there's some quarterback stuff to get to there, and I'll get into that, but had a big day today with a lot of different, on both sides of the ball, right? Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, defensive line. Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, offensive line. What do you make of everything around Minnesota, who today the reports are likely will give the ball to J.J. McCarthy next season?
I think the Vikings are one of the winners for me early on in free agency. And to the point that you were making about it being a copycat league, and something that Howie Roseman has really prided himself on is stockpiling as many picks as he can get. And he utilizes those picks as part of his arsenal. It doesn't mean that he's going to take 12 picks if he has 12 picks in a draft. It does mean he's going to utilize those to move up in order to garner the currency that he needs to acquire the players that he wants. He's done really well in the draft. It doesn't mean that he's a savant in the way that other people aren't, but he's done really well in the draft recently. And I would also say that free agency is a piece of this puzzle in the offseason. We love to get excited about free agency. We love to get excited about the draft, but they very much fit together along with the coaching changes that have already occurred. It's really 3 stages of this offseason, and you have to make sure that, look, the Bears are a perfect example of this, Kev. They make the switch to Ben Johnson, and everybody's excited about it. Now they've signed some free agents and shored up that offensive line as best they can to try to keep Caleb clean next year. Now what are they going to do in the draft? Keenan Allen is gone. Can Rome Odunze become a real option in the passing game for them? They have to do more with it in the draft. It's not a fix it. The interesting thing about free agency is that you get excited about players, and I understand that. But the best players in the league don't get to free agency. There is generally something that teams are looking at that allow them to allow those players to walk out the door. There are exceptions. Saquon Barkley is one of them, but you have to understand that these are not the most elite players in the league. You just hope that this player, somebody like Josh Sweat or Milton Williams, take it to another level as they hit to their new team.
Yeah, for me on Minnesota, I just wonder if it's a situation where quarterback and organization wish things played out differently. I'm referring to Sam Darnold and, the front office. Sam Darnold's in a worse situation, flatly. And people say he got 3 years, 55 guaranteed. I want to know what the Minnesota deal that was on his plate. Because ultimately, he has a better chance of success with Minnesota, with an offense he knows, led by Kevin O'Connell, and having Justin Jefferson, than whatever's going to be going on in Seattle. And I just don't get the sense that the Vikings love J.J. McCarthy like they want everyone else to believe. Today, when Daniel Jones signs with the Indianapolis Colts, the reports are, Vikings will likely go to J.J. They're certainly not running to give the ball to their first-round pick from just a season ago. And I wonder if the Vikings maybe shouldn't have been so cavalier then in letting Sam Darnold leave. We'll talk more with Mike Blewett, update you on the live board after this break on SportsGrid.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are back with you here on Game Time Decisions. K-State red hot from beyond the arc. Started the game 5 for 5 from 3. The 3 of those from Coleman Hawkins, the big man for K-State. They are up early on Arizona State. We are still playing the game between Virginia Tech and California. That game is in double overtime, but it looks like Cal, famous last words, will put it this way. I don't have anything in the game, so I don't really care. If any of you have action, I'm rooting that in. You might say, well, what if one of us had? I don't care. I'm rooting it in. I'm rooting in as best as I can. Mike Blewett is with us here on this Tuesday night. So here's the thing, Mike,
Big
right?
Cal Bears fans is what we're saying. We're big Cal Bears fans. If you have a Cal ticket, if you're a Hokies guy,
yeah.
Look, we got a minute and a half left. College basketball, if it's proven anything over my lifetime, it's the wildest sport out there. I love betting on it. It's also the most heartbreaking sport to bet on, but you know that going in.
No doubt.
Let's have fun with it.
I, yesterday, in real time, watched one of our guys lose a bet that I thought was going to change his life. Not the amount of money, the way he lost. 6 minutes later, he's like, who likes San Francisco against Gonzaga? I mean, and it's like, that's college hoops, baby. That's how it goes. So
how
listen,
are we not betting basketball?
It's a great point. Mike knows that I'll run and let someone know when I'm right. Again, I was legitimately texting Mike during the Super Bowl. Basically, let me on. But you got to also own up when you're wrong. And I was very wrong about the Myles Garrett thing because he fooled me. I thought he meant it when he said he wanted to win championships. I don't understand why he had to take his contract demands to level 10 as a starting point. Because to me, Cleveland would have always given him a record-breaking deal. The reason he decided to stay was the record-breaking deal. I don't know why the starting point was, I can't win here, I won't win here, get me out, to then just stay with Cleveland. I thought he was gone. I thought he meant it. I thought a number of NFC contenders, specifically Washington, Philadelphia, Detroit, would climb all over themselves to bring him in, and Myles Garrett's going to stick with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, so I guess I can't argue with the results, right? It got him the record-breaking deal, and maybe he felt like the conversations that had occurred up to this point were not material enough for him to think that they really wanted to keep him or that he really needed to put their feet to the fire in order to do it. But he might end up like Joe Thomas, Kev, where virtually no success from a team standpoint. I think somebody asked the other day, I think it was our friend Warren Sharp asked the other day on social, what if you had to bet right now, what team won't win the Super Bowl in the next 20 years, right? That's several regimes.
Yeah.
You'd have to put the Browns near the top of that list. Historically mismanaged. This owner is no better than the previous owner, and there's no end in sight because they have no quarterback situation right now. Raising my hand as a Steelers fan who also have no quarterback situation, but no quarterback situation to bank on right now unless they draft somebody. It doesn't feel like they're going to, but they might. So all that said, Kev, it's just a way for Myles Garrett to extract the most money he could. So good for him, I guess. But I don't see them any closer. They are clearly the last place team in that division.
Yeah, the incredible thing was all the reports were like, well, they're going to draft a quarterback. Myles signed. They're like, nah, probably not. I don't know why he started at level 10, but you're right. It just got him a deal that I always thought he was going to get. DK Metcalf. It didn't. I don't even know what DK though. Not bad. Hey, I'd like to leave. If it's warm, that'd be cool. They're like, it's warm sometimes, but how about 33 annual? And he's like, warm enough for me. What did you think about Metcalf?
So many gloves. You could buy so many gloves with that money.
What did you think about DK to Pittsburgh?
Obviously, a great way for them to level up their talent. They lose Najee Harris today to the Chargers, but it gives them an opportunity to have, hopefully, a mentor to George Pickens. Again, DK, too, Kev, another guy not really that old. People might assume him to be older than he is, but he's got plenty of good years left in him. An extremely talented player, obviously a guy that can still go down the field and get it. They've been dealing with the mercurial nature of George Pickens. Do they add a mercurially natured quarterback in Aaron Rodgers? That remains to be seen. But if they don't get Rodgers and go back to Russ, at least there's some familiarity there with DK and Russ. Do they go back to old school Russell Wilson trying to chuck the ball down the field? And frankly, he did some of that last year. I don't know. I think it would be disappointing to end up with Russell Wilson, but that's their plan B right now with Aaron Rodgers as their plan A. But DK, I still think a fantastic wide receiver. It's a very stacked position in the NFL. So you start saying, I think this guy's top 3, this guy's top 5, this guy's top 10. You get a lot of arguments, but DK Metcalf's wildly talented, so I'm great with it.
Yeah, I think he's a really, really good wide receiver. I think he and Pickens make a really good combination.
Yeah.
I think the fact that combination was presented to Justin Fields and he said, nope, I'm going to the Jets. Mike, it's not great in Pittsburgh right now. The perception to me, Tomlin was like weirdly on the hot seat 6 years ago and every year since, and most of it has felt silly. I told you this kind of mid-season. It does not feel silly anymore. Yet people are flying to bet Pittsburgh tickets, so maybe I'm just insane. But I don't know. I feel like Tomlin actually has to do something this season or it's going to get weird. Or not weird. He's just going to get fired.
I think it's fair to say that he's got more pressure on him this year than he's felt in a long time. The Justin Fields thing, that's an angle that I hadn't thought of. Here's what I would say. Justin Fields was not treated well by the Steelers last year, and if I were him, I wouldn't trust him either. They can promise, Arthur Smith can say, I promise this time you'll have the starting job, but he already knows it's not the case. They're looking for other people to replace him. And he got benched last year for Russell Wilson. So I don't blame him.
100%. All right, Mike's going to stick around. We'll be right back at his Game Time decisions on this Tuesday night. Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, what sports books could go there. I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Game Time Decisions. Cal does get it done for the Bears in double overtime. So they're moving on in the ACC tournament. We are here with Mike Blewett. And, you know, Mike and I we always have these NFL offseason conversations and, bouncing ideas off one another. Mike, I don't know, maybe a month ago, right? I'm like, hey, Mike, just hear me out, right?
Cincinnati should trade Jamar Chase. And Mike's great. Mike will humor me. He'll be like, I don't know. I don't think Burrow would be happy. I kind of get where you're coming from. And I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen. But I don't like to go crazy. I'll bother Blewett for hours about stuff that I know is not going to happen. But the people on air, I try not to. I say that to say this. Mike, there's a part of me that thinks Micah Parsons gets traded out of Dallas. They can't handle this any worse, possibly, than they already have, though it is exactly how they seemingly handled both CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. The paying 3 guys your entire salary cap doesn't feel sustainable. There's no way Parsons is even that happy there. Maybe I'm nuts. You can tell me if I'm nuts. I know you will. I actually feel like Parsons being dealt by Dallas is not as crazy as it should be.
I mean, Khalil Mack got traded when he was at the top of his game, so I don't think it's wildly out of the realm of possibility for someone to get traded for that kind of stuff. Sorry, as I fix my background mid sentence there. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for somebody like that to be traded. I think Jerry Jones is too proud to make moves like that. He wants to say, I nailed that pick. He's our guy. I'll pay him a fortune when I have to. He drags these negotiations out in an odd way, but I think that's probably how he conducts business generally. So he thinks it'll work here. The problem for him is, name one impact free agent that the Dallas Cowboys have signed in the last three free agency periods. Name one. You can't. They don't bring in anybody. Yeah. They've capped themselves out. They don't bring in anybody impactful, relying solely on the draft. The offensive line disintegrated. Dak got hurt again, and the team was terrible. And defensively, they relied on a little bit of an old school style that didn't bear any fruit. You know, they're not the worst team in the league, but Dallas has been a victim of their own issues, and that is not bringing in any free agents at all, relying solely on the draft to try to rescue them from the salary cap issues that they have. So got no love for it. They're the only team in the NFC, as we know, that has not made the NFC Championship this century.
The problem, and this is such a bizarre problem, they're unbelievable at finding superstars. But it's like there's no mid-level guys. So it's like, all right, we got to pay Dak, CD, Parsons, top of the market, but there's nobody making good money, it feels like, with Dallas, right? Like, but again, you also don't have to always time it wrong. Like, for these players who we know are incredible, the Parsons, the Chases, the Garretts, time is on their side, not the other way around. Because these deals aren't that hard. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were having a standoff for the ages. Jalen Hurts got paid, and Lamar was done in a couple of hours. And I went, all right, yeah, that's the framework. Never mind. This is simple. You don't even have an agent, and we can now figure this out in 2 seconds, right? So Parsons isn't in a rush, Mike. Chase isn't in a rush. It's the teams that should be moving, and they're not, and it puts themselves in really, really bad spots.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately we are in a situation. Yeah, we got a little camera issue here. So I think the teams themselves are, when we talk about quarterbacks, Kev, when we talk about quarterbacks like Burrow and Dak Prescott and others that are playing at an elite level, but find themselves in a position where they're failing every year, or quarterbacks that are drafted like Daniel Jones, it's generally the organization's fault and not the player. So that's really where I would leave it, is that it's really not generally the player's fault when the organizations trip over themselves year over year.
Yeah. All right. Great stuff as always from Mike Blewett. It's going to be a really fun offseason, and we are going to ramp this all up when the NFL draft gets closer and closer. Mike Blewett with us here on a Tuesday night. We do have some college to update you on. Arizona State charging back in that game as they have now tied it at 21 apiece. We'll talk more basketball with Coach James Young next right here on Game Time.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, well, what sports books could go there? I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions is here with you on this Tuesday night. I'm Kevin Walsh. UNC Wilmington, decent start. Central Connecticut, putrid start. No good. Maine, all right. Not mad at that. Guzan, woof. More fouls than points. Way more fouls than points. Everybody's shooting threes. It's not how I drew it up, I'll be honest with you. We have not started the ACC game just yet due to double overtime between Cal and Va Tech. Rolling with FSU in that game. Let's bring Coach James Young in. JY, talk to me. Do you have any action that is out right now with a number of conference tournament action in play?
Yeah, I did take Kansas State. I took them minus the points. I also took FSU is about to start. I'm with you. I like the minus the points. I just think the size of FSU is going to be too much for Syracuse to handle. I'm a little shocked. Kansas State got off to a good start, down by 3. I just, Bobby Hurley's coming back, which is stunning to me, I guess I would say. So those are the games I liked. I was tempted to take UNC Wilmington, but I was so nervous to get in front of Delaware, a team that lost a bunch of games in a row, is playing their 5th game of 5 nights. Stayed away. May jump in now because it's 8.5. It's a 10.5 point spread, I think, right now. So maybe I'll jump in live because maybe you think at some point they run out of legs. And I didn't take it, but I'm rooting for my dear friend, known since he was kids, Bobby Moe, Robert Morris head coach, Andy Toole, going for the win in the Horizon League. I think only the 3rd year they are in the Horizon. Used to be in Northeast Conference, up by 7 versus Youngstown State. Number 1 seed, Robert Morris.
All right, so a little tug on the heartstring action there from Coach Jay. The big game on the college board tonight is St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Totals continuing to climb. I played over at 138.5, but I know you're not scared of some unders when St. Mary's is in action. I'm wondering if you played a total or side in this one.
Kevin, I'm going to go and put my coaching hat on here and say that when you have 2 teams that are very evenly matched up, it's extremely hard to beat a team 3 times. I'm going with Gonzaga minus the points here. I did it last week with UCLA, USC women. When USC won both games of regular season, UCLA won the conference championship. Give me the Zags minus 3.5. I think they get some kind of redemption tonight.
All right, so some love for Gonzaga. Tell me, Coach, when it comes to the Bulldogs and their tournament hopes, they are in. There's no doubt about that. They needed to just make sure they didn't avoid any real chaos at the end, and that did not happen. They're here in the final, so they don't need this victory per se. Obviously, they'd like to have it. There's pride. But this is a team that, net ranking, KenPom might have as the 8th best team that's going to end up on the 8 line come tournament time. How do you view Gonzaga when we actually enter the tournament in terms of just how dangerous they might be?
It's really hard to count out a Mark Few team, and this will be the first time we're going into a tournament where they're not going to be a top, on the 1 through 4 line, right? You look at them and say, oh my God, 3-6 quad 1, but they're still a team that's extremely dangerous. And Mark Few is one of the best coaches in the country. They have not performed up to expectations, but that doesn't mean, Kevin, that they can't find a way to, maybe be a 7 seed. Can you see them in a 7-2 game, against a Michigan State and beating them? I do. So to me, it kind of goes back to what we've talked about. I've talked about with you not constantly is I need to see brackets. Because if I see brackets, styles make fights. And this Gonzaga team, whose only losses since January 18th have been to St. Mary's by 4 and by 7, you look at this team and they have immense talent. I just think it's been kind of an up and down year with them. But if you look at, having a guy like a Khalif Battle, like having a guy like a Graham Ike, like they got, and a Hickman, they got players, Kevin. Mm-hmm. That's a team that come tournament time, they may get seated too low, and then they can turn around and pick off, 2-7 or a 3-6 game. They can find themselves in the Sweet 16.
One season is the potential for a high-level game much earlier than it is typically anticipated. Coach, let me get over to the NBA board with you. I know it's a very light slate, but perhaps something caught your eye. And I know Bucks Pacers did just tip off, but maybe you let us even know if you were somewhere pregame, and then perhaps it could then get us somewhere in-game. What did you do, if anything, with tonight's NBA card?
Yeah, tonight was kind of a light night in the NBA. It's kind of weird. You figured you would have more games tonight. To me, I like Detroit minus the points, but they're already up by 14, 16.5 point spread live. So I don't know if that's something you want to get into. To me, I actually like Milwaukee minus the points. They have played better as of late. It is a regular season, so Doc Rivers is going to be good, obviously. I don't know. I didn't look before tip. I know Tyrese Halliburton was questionable. I don't even know if he's in the lineup tonight, which, if they are the Bucks are favored pre-game, then or money line makes me think that maybe he wasn't in the lineup tonight.
He ended up ruled in.
Okay, so that's probably a late rule in. So I would go Milwaukee, minus points still. Detroit minus the points. Stay away from the Clippers and the Pelicans. I know that's a tight one. That may be a game where even though it's 7.5, I would let that game tip off, then try to get that game live. See if New Orleans kind of hangs around a little bit, and then maybe jump on the Clippers.
Yeah, Coach, I do want to ask you some few items from yesterday's NBA slate. We're going to get into the Lakers, panic, this, that. But yesterday you were, we haven't talked about it a ton, but you seem pretty adamant that the MVP race should be over. I'm curious if at all the 35-18-8 victory in Oklahoma City, Nikola Jokic's performance sways you in any way. Not to say Jokic is now who you think should win it, but maybe the race should still be open as we have about a month of hoop left.
Well, I mean, you could say that you could talk about, yes, it could be a little bit tighter, the race now. I just think the fact that OKC's it's such a wide lead, right? And if you look at the fact that OKC going long stretches without Chet Holmgren, OKC going 2 stretches without Isaiah Hartenstein, and the numbers that SJ has put up because of the lead they have in the Western Conference and the stats he's putting up. And it's crazy to say this, Nikola Jokic is averaging a triple-double. And Kevin, he's on like 10.6 assists. Like, it ain't even close right now what this guy is doing. But to me, I still would go with SGA as the MVP, maybe the odds come in a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I think SGA is going to win it. I'd be pretty surprised if he does not. And I will just say this for people who go, it's not right that Jokic is going to lose out just because he's won it a few times. I'm not saying that it's right. What I'm saying is it's normal. And I don't understand why when it comes to Nikola Jokic, we seem to forget that. And I'm not talking about going back to LeBron and Michael, who obviously, if we were giving out the MVP, you would think they'd have more. Jokic won his first MVP because people weren't going to give Giannis a third in a row. Jokic was not the MVP that season. He was a great candidate, but people were like, whoa, we're not doing Giannis 3 in a row. And then you know what happened? They gave it to Jokic again because he absolutely earned that one. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. And then you know what happened next year? They went, all right, we're not giving him 3 in a row. Joel Embiid. And then last year we went back to Jokic. And again, if Jokic wins it, he wins it. I don't understand what's going on, though. We're like, man, this is so unfair to the What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We'll be back with Coach after a quick break. Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, what sports books could go there. I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. Arizona State has hit a scoring drought. They haven't scored almost 5 minutes of game time here. K-State on a bit of a run to reclaim that lead. Foul trouble is killer in college. And occasionally I get very, very frustrated as a bettor when a coach fouls out his player for the other team by not playing him, by being very cautious. That didn't happen here. Gusan got put back out and immediately picked up his third foul. He ain't getting over 16.5. He may not get over 6.5. He is scoreless. He hasn't taken a shot. Not great. Not great.
sometimes that's how it goes. Just quickly updating everybody here on the live board. Kevin Walsh with you on this Tuesday night. I do have Coach James Young with me as well. Maine has flipped to a favorite in their game with Vermont. That low total is a tick lower, down to 121.5. Robert Morris right now, a 4.5-point favorite nearing the break against Youngstown. McNeese is rolling Northwestern State. Not super surprised by that. I'm not. I considered actually taking Northwestern State, but I was like, McNeese could smash. I stayed away, so I'm not taking credit for anything. I didn't bet the game. They are up to a 23.5-point favorite. I actually think that's an interesting live bet if you're so inclined. Awful pick out of me on the Central Connecticut team total. They scored 20 first-half points. Live total in that game is 109.5 because it is tied 20-20. UNC Wilmington, decent start for them. Defense really ramping up against the Blue Hens, 29-21 with about 3 minutes to go. So, again, we have Coach James Young with us here. And, JY, I do want to get to yesterday where there were a few noteworthy things. The Lakers took a loss that gets elevated because of who it was against, who it was without, the race for the 2 seed. It happens. They were super shorthanded, but it hurts. Despite a 22-point triple-double from Luka Doncic, despite Dalton Connect really coming on late in that game, Reeves still doesn't have his rhythm. Alex Len is, no disrespect, terrible and largely unplayable. The Lakers dropping that game, did it create any panic or concern for you around this basketball team?
No, not at all. I mean, they're going to have stinkers, and you're right. Alex Len is absolutely hot garbage, or what we would call caliente basura. But Luka just didn't shoot the ball well. 8 of 26 from the floor. Take away the triple-double. I mean, 8 of 26 from the floor and 5 turnovers is too much. And he rightfully took the blame. I like where you saw that Jordan Godwin off the bench, giving you 17 points, 5 for 6 from 3. To me, this is a take that no one's talking about. What are the Nets doing? Listen, Coach Fernandez has done a really good job with them, Kev. I got to give him credit. But damn it, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you trying to prove? Like, you trying to make a run at a play-in? I mean, Brooklyn's beating Cleveland right now by 8 points in the second quarter. Like, what are we doing right now in Brooklyn? Like, you guys stink. Like, go tank. Try to get Cooper Flag. Try to get Ace Bailey. Try to get Harper. I just don't get what Brooklyn's doing.
I think for me, here's what I'll say on Brooklyn. I think the Nets need to be bad for multiple years. I think most of these teams that are bad right now would love to land Cooper Flag, but they are happy to be in the mix for next year's top talent, where you have what is presently seen as 3 guys, and who knows who emerges, that are all number 1 pick worthy. So that is a little bit my defense. What I don't like, though, is them holding on to Cam Johnson because they thought somehow that was going to get them 2 first-rounders. Come on. Cam Johnson played a decade of basketball at North Carolina. He's almost 30. He's not 23. Like, we got to be a little realistic about what we're doing here. You know?
But Kevin, they did this last year with Dorian Finney-Smith.
They did. They did.
Listen, Joe Tsai, I guess thank God you got the Liberty. At least you got them, because I have no idea what you're doing with Sean Marks. He may be as bad as Jerry Jones. The only problem is Jerry Jones is an owner.
The only thing I think, too, though, JY, is I think the way the lottery percentages have worked out, I wonder if teams have, because the Nets are still, they're not going to make the play-in. And I wonder if teams have stopped, like, The odds are not in the Wizards' favor to land the first pick. Their chances are as good as Utah's and Charlotte's, and it's a 14% chance. That's not that great. I mean, it's just not. So I just think, I don't know, I think that's a part of it. If the Sixers end up winning that lottery, people are going to be upset. People are going to be upset if you all of a sudden tune in to lottery night and it's Daryl Morey celebrate. If it's Joel Embiid, could you imagine? Maybe they send Podcast P's partners out there.
They probably get hurt.
It's not right. That's not right, J.Y.
Not wrong. It's not wrong.
That's not right. That's the Knicks fan in you talking. That's the Knicks fan in you talking. You're still waiting for Big JoJo to join the orange and blue, and you know it. What we're going to do is we're going to hit a break here. We will go over the big game, Gonzaga-St. Mary's, and an SEC tournament look from Coach. We'll re-rack my Take 5 from yesterday. Nobody has started just yet, so you can still get in the mix. Coach getting involved in the SEC tournament. So we will talk about that after a quick break. Game time decisions, in-game lives right around the corner. Don't go anywhere. We're here with you on SportsGrid. Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, what sports books could go there. I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Here, get right back here right now. I got to tell you something, folks. You're on Game Time Decisions. We're live on YouTube on this Tuesday night.
Oh, man.
I've noticed something, Coach James Young, right here. Now, I'm going to say this, and if people, just in case I need to, I say this with love. Coach got a little Lisi in him, man. A little bit of that. A little bit of that. No. Listen to me. A little bit of that. I ain't ruining that in. I'm going the other way. So Coach and I, for those that do not know, this Sunday we'll give you an in-game live for the Big Ten tournament. Take you right up into the bracket unveiling. Coach then will be live with Ben Stevens right here
on SportsGrid to go through the entire thing. They're going to do a knockout job. I said to Coach, Coach, I hope UCLA's in it. I have the future on them. That would make for some good fun. And you could just tell Coach's face was like, man, I nobody want UCLA in that game. You could tell Coach has no interest in UCLA being in the mix. Is he frozen? Or he just hit me that good? What do you think, Coach?
Nah. You know what I do like in the Big Ten?
No, come on.
I can't believe I say this.
No.
I can't believe I say these words. Purdue.
Oh, you are.
I think I have a
you
feeling
love teams you hate.
I hate Purdue. I hate Purdue. I like it. Wait, let's look at K-Dub's take 5. UCLA 8.5 to 1. I disagree. Tennessee, what SEC? All right, I'm going with Alabama.
Talk to me about that, Coach. Talk to me about your Alabama pick to win the SEC tournament.
I think that defensively they've been a little bit better. Cliff Moore, I think, has been a little bit more of a difference maker. The ability to score a little bit more in offensive rebounding. Grant Nelson, if he stays out of foul trouble, and I just think I've seen them not rely on the 3-point as much. I've seen them use more of an inside game and a little bit more of a pull-up game, just not being run off the line. So I do like them in that spot and at that price. Kevin's in the Big East. I just offered Kevin maybe we go to the game on Thursday night because they play UConn. Now I feel like he's sucking me back into the Villanova thing. You know, I wrote off Kyle Neptune, and here we go with K-Dub trying to be a bad friend.
No, don't blame me. No, don't blame me.
Put it at 16 to 1. And now I'm upset.
No, don't blame me. Don't blame me. You know that you were looking for any reason to bet Nova. If that thing would have said Marquette, Coach Benny, you know what? If you're on Marquette, then I probably should look elsewhere. I'll take Villanova. That's what he would have done. JY, let's just hope the Wildcats come in. Hope the Wildcats come in. Hold on.
I'm not gonna lie. Do I actually, in my heart, think that Villanova is going to make a run? Yes. Like I really think I
can't figure this guy out. I got to tell you, he's throwing knuckle curves. This guy's wild, man.
9:30. You may have 9:30 on Thursday. If I can get him out of here on time, you may have K-Dub and JY at Villanova, UConn at the Mecca, at the world's most famous arena. And then if they win, Kevin, then they play Creighton. Can Villanova beat Creighton? I think so. Kevin, I think I may have to bet Villanova to win the Big East tournament. Now you play.
JY sitting on a Seton Hall ticket somewhere. JY, remind the people of what you're betting in Gonzaga St. Mary's before we get out of here.
I'm going with the Zags minus 3.5. Simply put, I just think it's difficult for a team to beat a team 3 times in a row, especially when 2 teams are evenly matched. Give me Mark Few. Give me the Zags. EK big game minus 3.5 tonight.
For me, it is going to be over. Game number 1, 146.5 was the total. Under. Game number 2, 141.5 was the total. Game landed 141. They dropped this thing down to 138.5. What are you talking about? This is a rocket ship. Blast off, baby. We're going over St. Mary's, Gonzaga, the 138.5. We got some different things to be rooting in live. We'll hope for the best. JY, appreciate it as always. You going to pop up over on In-Game Live? You going to appear randomly in just a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I'm going to come in at 8:14, blow that show up too, and then I'll go to bed.
In-Game Live is next. I will see everybody Thursday night right back here on the Game Time Decisions.
Anyone that's been
it's made every match so much more